Hey guys, it's your gay sports fanatic. Welcome back. This week we're going to look at college football, week 5. So the first thing I'll do is I'll look back at last week a little bit. Then we're going to look at some teams that I don't know are getting all the attention and all the love that they deserve, even though they might be highly ranked. And then we'll also look ahead to week 5 predictions by the gay sports fanatic and see how I do. So first, let's look at last week. Of course, the big game we saw Tennessee go to Oklahoma, welcoming Oklahoma to the SEC. It was a pretty rude welcome. I know it was a 10-point game, but really Tennessee was in control all the way. I'm very high on this Tennessee team. So with that, I had went 4-3 last week. So I had 4 wins, 3 losses against the spread. So it's better than I did last week. In the first 2 weeks, I also went 4-3. So if you stuck with me, you'd win a little bit more than you lost. But anyway, let's look at the teams that I think. I'm going to pick out some teams here that I think are being somewhat, to some degree, overlooked. And I'm going to start with the team that I think is most overlooked, and that is the Iowa State Cyclones. Now, this is a team that probably a lot of people outside of Iowa haven't paid any attention to. But this is a team that is undefeated. They're in the top 25. But when you look at their schedule, there's not much there. And Iowa State's pretty good. Iowa State really doesn't play anyone except at Utah. Now that will be the game I think for the Big 12 title, but I think either way, the big Iowa State will play for the Big 10 championship in the conference championship game. A very good shot that they could get, believe it or not, Iowa State could get one of the 4 top seeds in the college football playoff. I know nobody talks about them because they've traditionally not been much of a program, but I'll tell you what, watch out this year because again that schedule's not that tough. So who else was I looking at here? Illinois went in Nebraska last week, pulled out a close game. Nebraska's a much better team than they've been in the past. This is a big win for Illinois on the road. We're going to find out a lot more about Illinois this week, but right now they are undefeated. I like their style of play. It's real, Midwestern style play. They have an NFL size offensive line which powers their offense. And this is a team that likes to control the clock and likes to play a little bit conservative, but they're just a solid team. So we'll talk about Illinois a little bit later. Also, you're not going to believe I'm going to bring these guys up, but it's Notre Dame. Ever since they lost to Northern Illinois, I think people just kind of threw them off to the side. I wouldn't do that because Notre Dame's schedule is really not that difficult. I mean, it's not inconceivable at all that they could run the table. Now they have USC in there. I know they have a tough game this Saturday against Louisville as well. But I'll tell you what, those are the 2 games left. If they can get through either one of those, I think that they're a good shot to be in the top 12 and to make the playoff. So the other team that I'm looking at is Clemson, another team that lost early, and I think people have just simply forgotten about. Well, Clemson has just went on a tear ever since then. They're in a weak conference. Really, Miami is their opponent. Do not count Clemson out this season. You're not hearing anything about them, but I'm telling you, don't count them out here. They're starting to get on a roll, and the schedule's not that tough. Next up on my list was another surprise, I guess, which is Alabama, who of course went into Wisconsin and just dominated. But Alabama in their other games did not look really all that dominant. Therefore, I don't think they've been getting the kind of typical Alabama, Nick Saban kind of push that they get from the media, which I'm sure suits Alabama just fine. So I'm putting Alabama on here as a team that, yes, they're ranked pretty high, but they're just not getting a lot of attention that they normally would get. We're going to find out a lot more about them this week as well. And then last but not least, I'm going to have to go with Arkansas right here. I know you're laughing, Arkansas, the Hogs, they're terrible. This year, they're not terrible. They are a above average or a well below average team. They went to Oklahoma State. They lost in double overtime at Stillwater. That's really no great loss. But they did go to Auburn this week, and they won the game. And of course, Auburn is terrible, but still a win on the SEC on the road. All I'm saying about the Hogs is that no, do I think they'll make the college football playoff? No, I do not believe that for a second. Do I believe though they've got in their home schedule they've got Tennessee coming in, they've got Ole Miss coming in, they've got Texas coming in, and I'm trying to think of the other team that's coming in. So I get Ole Miss, LSU, Texas, and Tennessee. So those are the four games. Somebody's going to get knocked off in Fayetteville. I'm telling you, this team's going to rise up in one of those games. A lot of people may say LSU because it's probably the weakest of the four. But don't be surprised if they show up and win a game. I don't know about Tennessee, but don't be surprised if they jump up and win a game and give Texas a game. That's a great rivalry. So keep your eye on the Hogs. Again, they're not going to the college football playoff, but if anybody in the SEC thought that they could just write a W next to Arkansas's name, particularly at home, think again. So that is the teams that I think are to just keep your eye on right now after 4 weeks. Let's see how they do. They've got a lot of challenges coming up, but these are teams that I just think the ball's been taken, the eye's been taken off of them. So particularly Iowa State. So let's move into my week 5 picks. We got some great games here. First is Georgia, which is giving away 2.5 at Alabama. So Alabama is actually an underdog at home. And I'll tell you what, I'm going with the Tide. I'm going with Alabama to win this game. And I know it's a great rivalry, but I just can't. It was like going against Tom Brady. I just cannot with Alabama at home get points. So I'm taking Alabama. Next up is Florida State at SMU. SMU is good, folks. Florida State's terrible. And SMU is only a 5.5 point favorite. And it's at Dallas, it's at SMU. I'm taking SMU and I'm throwing away the 5.5. We have Colorado, of course, the much vaulted Colorado. And speaking of last week, what a game that was. The quarterback, Sanders, Sanders Jr., I guess, you never know what this guy is going to do. But I'll tell you this, he's running for his life all the time. I don't know what offensive line they have. He's either going to make a great play or a terrible one. Colorado, despite all the hype, all the commercials, is not really that good of a team. They're just not. So Colorado is at UCF, Central Florida. They're giving away 13.5 points. So Colorado was a 13.5 point favorite. I think this is a trap. UCF had last week off. They are not a bad team. I'm taking UCF. Give me the 13.5 at home. Next, we have Notre Dame and Louisville. Now, I'm not going to take either team here. I'm going to go with the over under on this one because when I saw this, I really liked it. I like the under at 48.5. Notre Dame has a great secondary. They're really good at stopping the pass, and Louisville is great against the run. I think all of this adds up to a game that is lower scoring than 48.5 points. So I'd take the under on this one. Next, we have Arkansas, uh, which is a 4.5. At this point, a 4.5 point underdog. They were 5.5 at one time. So this spread seems to be moving. 4.5, uh, I'll take it. It's in Dallas. You'll notice when you look at the schedules, it'll say Arkansas at Texas A&M. That's not true. The game is in Jerry World in Dallas. By the way, I'm pretty sure I'm going. So we're gonna get the gay sports fanatic on the road. I'm pretty sure I'm going to that game. Arkansas, 4.5 point underdog. Give me Arkansas. They have never done well in this game in Jerry World. It's been a disaster for them. But I think this year things might be a bit different. I think finally Lady Luck's going to shine on them. I'm taking Arkansas. Next, we have Oklahoma, who last week, of course, had their first SEC game. Didn't work out too well for them, but they were playing Tennessee. Oklahoma is a 2.5 point favorite at Auburn. Now, let's talk about Auburn for a second here. Okay, so Auburn lost last week. Their coach did some. I almost think he should just be fired now. I think when a coach goes into a press conference, and I think I don't. I'm going to kind of paraphrase here, but he basically said we need somebody that can run the ball and not fumble, and we need somebody who can throw the ball and catch. Well, that's pretty much your offense, isn't it? And he blamed it all on the players. And I believe he also said that there was only one play that he thought was the coach's fault, one play call. So in other words, he's not to blame. Just his offensive players are terrible. You know what? Would you play for this team if you were on offense for a coach that went out and threw under the bus like that in a press conference? I wouldn't. I thought it was egregious. However, I'm taking Auburn. So it's Oklahoma giving away 2.5 at Auburn. I'm going to go with Auburn. And that means Oklahoma's getting a real rude surprise in the SEC because that'd make them 0 2. Of all the games, this is the one I'm the shakiest of because I wonder about these Auburn players and how they're going to react. You could go two ways. You could be, well, to hell with this guy. I'm just not even going to try then. Or you go the other way. I'm going to show this guy what I can do and shut him up. But, hating your coach is not a good thing. But I'm going to bank that Auburn players, the offensive ones, have enough pride in themselves to say that I'm going to try to win this game for me, for my reputation, and for myself, not the coach. So that's my thought. Although this is one that I'm the shakiest one on. So anyway, you guys, that is college football week 5. It's going to be a great one. They're all going to be great from here on out. So I want to thank you very much for tuning in. Please be sure to like, of course, subscribe if you'd like to see all of my videos that are fed to you. Just please subscribe. That way you're just signed up for everything that I send out. So I want to thank you guys very much. Have a good college football Saturday. Thank you.